Hey, what's up? This is Zach here at CES on the GM podcast. Super excited to be speaking with my next guest, Broza. How are you doing today?
Doing excellent. It's great CES.
Um, to kind of just kick things off, for those who don't know, can you tell us who you are, your role, and what company you're representing?
Sure. I'm Broza. I'm the founder of Companion Intelligence. It's a brand new startup that just got kicked off in November. Prior to that, I was the CEO of Ethereal Engine, which was a web-based XR game engine. We sold to Infinite Reality in February of last year for about $85 million. I was the CTO at IR till about November. And the AI called me, so I had to start yet my third company. So that's what I've been doing. We just had our public premiere last night in the XR Pavilion, a big party, and yeah, today I'm talking to people like you about the exciting stuff we're up to.
So what made you kind of want, because I think that's amazing. I'm a huge gamer myself, so as soon as you said that, I was like, okay, I know what you're talking about. In terms of the game engine, what made you want to kind of pivot or I guess add on?
So I've I've been working in data sovereignty and AI for a long time. Like I've been kind of working on this personal AI, personal assistant project for about 13 years. And really in the last 2.5, 3 years, as LLMs have taken off, I've been doing a lot of personal experiments on and professional experiments on what could be possible. So it seemed like the right time to actually combine a bunch of different technologies I've been playing with into a novel new combination that I don't think anybody else is trying. Really, it comes down to like I've had a personal assistant on and off through my career, and it's changed my life. And it changes your career if you have one. The problem is they cost about 8 to 12 grand a month for a really good one, and most people can't afford that. And if you listen to Jensen Huang the other day, the AI could do most everything. But the real problem with AI is it has a lot of problems with context and context windows, and it has a problem with hallucination. And because of these problems, I don't really want it answering my emails. Doesn't do it terribly reliably. I don't want it answering my text messages, planning my day. It has poor contextual understanding of who I am, my relationships, what I'm up to. And we essentially have been building a new technology called a digital memory that allows us to power AI in a more reliable way, especially for the needs of being a personal assistant and, as we say, a companion intelligence. So we've been premiering this new tech stack, this new way of building AI that to help you deeply, personally, and professionally over the last few days, and it's been to an amazing reception.
And I think that no, that's really interesting, and the hallucinations I think is fascinating because it will like ChatGPT, or I don't want to call it a specific one, but will act like a professional when it's not, and also yeah, the context is really important in any conversation, and it can immediately feel impersonal and kind of put you off when it's like okay, I've just told you like my whole life story, and I don't know 5 minutes ago now you're asking me like some basic detail a couple days later and you're like, all right, like it doesn't feel like a friend, and that memory sounds
Exactly.
like a huge part of it.
Exactly. And it's, there's we're kind of in a phase change right now. Like if you guys remember back in 2007, the iPhone came out. And by 2010, you absolutely had to have a smartphone to just operate in the world. You literally could not use services like Instacart or Uber without them. And that's what we're going to see really with agents. Um, we're already seeing Apple Intelligence, we're already seeing Microsoft Copilot, and these things are being forcibly embedded in all our phones and desktops or laptops and everything. And that's going to become a main avenue for tons of services in the next 2 years, where you're going to have to talk to these agents. But as we say, these agents are actually double agents. They're
Yeah, I like that.
yeah, yeah. Feel free to use it. No, it's these agents are definitely double agents, and they're stealing your information, and they're trying to get you. These platforms are trying to get your data, um, get you hooked on them owning your data because their inputs and outputs, like Apple Intelligence, works well when it knows everything about you, and so your competitors will have these AIs, and they will be putting all of their personal and professional information in them to get an advantage. And what's that going to cause you to do? Well, you're going to have to put all your information in to stay competitive. So I don't want to do that. I don't particularly trust Microsoft and Apple with all my personal information. I don't want Sam Altman, Tim Cook to be going through my personal information. I want it to stay inside my enclave, my mode. So that's really what we're working on, is an alternative where you don't have to use these big cloud AIs to take advantage of this revolution. And so some of the magic of what we're up to.
So can you explain maybe on a technical level, like how that differentiates? Like,
Sure. We have two flavors of our personal companion intelligence. One is that you can run on your own devices. So you install our app on your mobile and desktop phone, you log in, and it takes all of your computers and brings them together into your own personal cloud. And then the other version is we have our own cloud where everything that collects, stores, and serves your information is all open source. It's all audited. Anybody can go and publicly look at it. We're going to host it up in a cloud that's going to be third-party audited, and it's going to be encrypted. We use something called column store encryption. We're looking at a new type of encryption called homeomorphic encryption. And what that really means is if you sign up for companion intelligence, I can't get at your data. Only you can. And there's everything from code transparency to auditing to encryption transparency, so that you feel really good if you want to store it in the cloud. But like right now, I'm using it off an old gaming rig that sits at my house. I can
oh,
pull
that's
it out on my
cool.
phone. Yeah, and it's actually like 2 or 3 generations older than what is being sold here. It works great. Works just as good as ChatGPT. It's in many ways better.
And kind of, I guess, just because I think ChatGPT is the best example that most people are familiar with in terms of a large language model. Like, what is the sort of interface like? Like, is it a text interface? Can you talk to it?
Yeah. So it starts off with our dashboard, where we have a place to connect all the services you use. It directs you to downloading apps. So you download an app for your desktop and mobile phone, and we can collect data from there out of the logs and out of the APIs on the devices. And we have a browser extension. So you can go from site to site and click on the browser extension and say, hey, I want you to go through the netflix.com with my Netflix login and go grab my Netflix history for me. And it's all opt-in, so it does almost nothing out of the box, and you turn things on. You say collect this, collect that, and it builds your digital memory. It's real simple. Your digital memory is just 5 lists. It's a list of everywhere you go, everyone you know, everything physical in the world you own and interact with, everything digital in the world you create and consume, and then the last list is just a timeline. So I'm right here talking to you in this place. We're making a piece of digital content. Those would all be recorded on those ledgers. And those clean, complete, and up-to-date lists make up the story of my life, make up my digital memory.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
How like fast is this going to evolve? Because I mean, it's already evolved so quickly. Is it going to be in the point where in a couple of years, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's the same as talking to a human, that Turing,
That
we're going to kind of
it's going
pass
to evolve in all sorts of crazy directions. Like right now, I'm going to be spending the rest of my day talking to headset makers. If you've heard of Google's Project Astra, they're going to be releasing glasses where you're just going to the computer will be seeing through your eyes constantly, and you'll be having a conversation. You'll be like, hey, you go to the restaurant downstairs, open it up, and say, what's the healthiest thing on this menu under $35? And it'll just tell you right there, right? That's many of the type of use cases that people are doing, where you're going to have a completely transformative interface. Lots of headset makers think that like augmented reality is probably not going to play much of a role. It'll be like a camera plus audio type context that we're going to have. And it will be very conversational. Like, this is something we hotly debate right now, is how much do we anthropomorphize the interface? Like, do you really want Jarvis? Does Jarvis have a personality? Does he have a name? Have you gender? Does he have a personality? Does he have a signature voice? Does he have opinions? Does he have likes and dislikes, a favorite color? Or is he just like Siri and Google, and it's just like a very sterile agent? Like, what's a better experience? What's a more moral and safer experience for people?
What's your opinion?
I'm about to release a bunch of things on the topic, on pros and cons, and how, like, because right now the industry is just like it's all positivity. Nobody's talking about the risks of this, but
Yeah, no, it's
There's more than
true.
a few people trying to sell AI girlfriends right now and things like that, or AI necromancy and bring back dead grandma and things like that. That's all on the floor right this year, and some of that I think might be more than a bit dubious.
How
So,
much of it is it just like wraps of like ChatGPT and
oh,
stuff, do you
most
think?
all of it, most all of it, yeah. But there's also really good things going on. There's lots of open models like Mistral. I was shocked as anybody that Meta did such a good job releasing Llama to everyone. And there's, if you guys seen DeepSeek, which came out of China, it's an open source model that's essentially as good as anything OpenAI and Anthropic can put out. I'm going to go talk to somebody about buying a server cluster to go run it myself. Yeah, that's one of the things I'm doing this week. And I didn't expect to be doing that 2 weeks ago. That came like an asteroid out of the sky and totally changed our strategy. It's moving so fast. Yeah.
Do you think, because like, we're here at CES and we've been talking to a whole, I think AI is the common kind of thing I would say between all companies from all industries that we've talked to in terms of the implementation. But kind of coming back to like, we're here still real life and then at an event in person and people are talking and connecting and you talked about making these connections. Like, do you see that continuing to be valuable as things like AI develop where
Call me a Luddite, but I do love talking to real human beings.
yeah, I mean it's
And
kind of a weird question, but I mean
no, uh, I have an Apple Vision Pro. I've hung out with it. I know it's crazy. And I've done the neural scans. I have a bunch of like encoders, and like it's cool and fun to hang out with, and I do it with my friends. But you look like a skinwalker. You look like that guy from Men in Black who's like wearing the skin of somebody else, and that's the best one on the planet right now. And I've looked at the neural codec avatars that Facebook has. They still kind of look like skinwalkers. It creeps me out. Maybe I'm getting in my 30s and I'm old and like
no, I get it,
yeah,
yeah.
but I kind of think this whole face-to-face thing is here to stay in a big way. I mean, my whole dream, like I've been working in metaverse and augmented reality, and I own pretty much all the augmented reality glasses worth owning. Like my whole reason for owning them is so that I could throw my computer into the ocean and never look at it again. I could stand up from my desk and go about in the world.
Right, right.
Like it's not
Like
so
I'll
I
take the
don't.
shackles off.
It's not like so I don't have to go outside again. It's the exact opposite of
Yeah.
that. So
I,
yeah,
I I feel you.
yeah.
And do you think we're close to that?
I think in some ways, yeah, I the X Reels and others are really really interesting boundary pushers this year that are making it making lots of things possible, but it's just still baby steps. We're still kind of like it's the age of Palm Pilots and Pocket PCs, and the iPhone hasn't dropped yet. The Quest 3 is pretty close in some ways, but again, like I can't leave my house with it, so I'm still not quite there. But I think
No,
the AI is actually much closer to really transformative changes of the day-to-day life for people.
what do you think is going to be the sort of, I mean, you could say it's ChatGPT is like the breakthrough use case, but it's still like an app, it's not the integrated. Do you see it kind of being a piece of software that really takes off or a physical device paired with software? Like what do you think will, because you talk about the iPhone moment, what do you think will be that moment?
Well, I'm biased, but I think what I'm working on is probably the killer app for the LLM age. Having played with so many of the ones out there and played with, ChatGPT directly, which has a lot of like base utility, but it's still kind of just like a copywriter helper, or most times, or it's the new version of WebMD, or like it's a little more of an evolutionary than a revolutionary. Um, but yeah, I think that there's form. I don't want to give too much away, but yeah, I think it's gonna be a very interesting year.
Do
Yeah,
you think, because I think you made a really good point earlier about how like everything is very positive right now and people aren't thinking about the negatives. That's what I understood from what you said. Do you think does that kind of carry over into competition within AI? Do you think right now it's very like
yeah.
the players are very friendly with each other and you think there's going to be a moment where like there's going to be one winner that's going to
Uh,
get like 80%, or do you think it's going to be like a continuation of like 10% here,
I think
you
that
know?
the big players like like OpenAI and Anthropic are kind of it's not going the way they thought at all.
What do
I
you
don't
mean?
I don't think that OpenAI thought that there'd be so many so good open source models like as fast
Mm,
as they were that
they
it's
were just gonna.
driven down the chart price. I mean, if I go to DeepSeek right now, I can go to their API like in the cloud and get an API that's pretty much as good as anything OpenAI can do, and it's 1/12 the price.
Okay.
And it's just as fast and almost
Actually, check. I have
practically
the
as fast.
$200 ChatGPT
Yeah,
model or
yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
a month.
Yeah,
So.
and they just said that they did not expect people like they just released saying that people at that $200 plan are using it more than they thought and they're making less money than they thought right now.
Mm.
And it's so funny to watch Sam Altman in the hype machine right now. He just recently had this whole string of tweets where he's like, "Oh, we're gonna release O3, and programmers better watch out. It's like the best programmer ever." And then they show this demo, and it makes like the world's lamest Python notebook line chart. And then they end the product conversation with like, "Yeah, slam dunk. Yeah, like come to OpenAI. You don't need programmers anymore." And like everybody I know in the industry was just laughing their ass off at it. They were like, "This is like a total magic trick." It's the same.
Do you think is that how the public sees it, or is
I
that
don't think
how?
the public is literate enough to call balls or strikes. But if you keep telling people that the singularity is here, and then months go by and nothing changes, like you're going to be the guy who cried Techno Wolf. Like it's that's like that's what I see here. Like
Do
yeah,
you see? Because like Elon obviously has Grok and
yeah.
XAI, and our audience is mostly on X. That's our biggest platform. Do you see like them kind of competing with you in a sense, or do you see it as like a partner, a potential partner where
Yeah.
maybe I could, and maybe this is already possible, but we could take everything we're doing at Genzio and my companion could learn about it. So then when I upload this video, I can say, maybe edit it like I usually do and write a cool title or something.
Yeah, I mean, we're currently building the framework in such a way that you can integrate with anything. You want to use Claude or OpenAI or XAI, you just are switching out accounts. And it's interesting to try each of them. Like if I leave everything the same in our technology and I just switch out the LLM, there is changes in behavior. Like Claude is really, really great at being like colloquial and deep and but like also detailed and like a better creative writer. XAI has interesting problem solving things, and is very like unlocked. And you can talk about like edgy subjects with it, and personal subjects with it, and it doesn't have its guardrails are much far much more pulled back. You know, OpenAI is good at reasoning and science and math in ways that the other ones aren't. So there's like we're very much trying to like keep an open mind to all of them. And one of our most popular integrations is Twitter. Like, and there's a lot of momentum in the near future of us making the thing be able to tweet on your draft. It already drafts tweets for me, like and tweet on my behalf. And like we're working. The interface is really you have many different assistants. Like I have a personal assistant that's like my day planner. I have like a social media agent. I have a fitness agent. I have a finance agent. And I ask all of them like, well, what should I do today? And my finance agent's like, you should do your taxes. My social
You're like,
media
yeah,
agent
okay.
is you should sit down and talk about what you're interested right now, and I'll draft a bunch of messages. My scheduling agents like you should go and look at all these drafts I made and send them out. You know my fitness agent wants me to go take a hike and eat better. It's like, and they all fight it out with me in a big conversation of talking together of like and coming to a mixture of agent like consensus of what I should do, and that is like going and playing and mixing that together every day is like really interesting to me, and watching people reason and haggle with these systems.
I agree. And I kind of I think truth is becoming more and more of a topic, and community notes is a huge thing that X started. And then I saw the other day that Mark Zuckerberg sort of adopted that as well. And I think this idea of fact checking or what is true, and you mentioned even with like XAI, the boundaries being wider, like where how do you kind of continue to make sure, like within these systems, that it is honest in giving you the best information? Because you just mentioned like taxes or something. What make sure it's not subliminally telling you to use TurboTax, or I don't know, like keeping that process pure in
Yes, I mean,
sense.
there's two parts. One is this digital memory is like kind of meant to be an objective look back on your own life that only you can access. It's a look in the mirror, and that is a great anchor of truth that you can go back to in the system. And then the other one is, I'm very dubious about sending my personal information up to OpenAI's cloud or xAI's cloud or anything like that, because there is so much opportunity for them to insert ad suggestions or dark patterns or things like that. So like as I use these tools, I run them mainly off Llama and Mistral and systems that I can run locally. I can benchmark and get repeatable actions locally, and know with a very high degree of certainty that they're not manipulating me. And that's something I really want to write about, is like what it's like to actually use and understand and trust these systems.
Do you think that more people should be doing that?
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, that's a, how much time do you have? Because yeah, yeah, that's there's yeah, it's the Wild West right now. Leave it at that. Yeah.
Like people are just sharing everything.
People are just doing stuff to see what it does. It's all it's public experiments is the way I kind of see most of it. And people are, these AIs are like the inverted Turing test. Is like what we usually joke about. You have to convince the engineer they're not as smart as they think they are, that they have it like that, because people are just boundlessly optimistic with the results that they get, and all the incentives of all of these big AI companies is to just focus on the positive and pump and hype and pump and hype. Like I'm working with a couple clients right now, because we work with companies as well, and they're having like a really hard time like finding the right model, like finding like which vendor do I choose. I don't really need the very biggest baddest model. I need something not so big. It's called right sizing. Find the one that's the right price and right size for you. And there is no like real objective benchmarks. And if you try to read the literature that comes with all of these models, they're all kind of like pumped up. They all have like a little bit of bullshit going on, because they want you to pick their model. So they're like, so it's very hard for people to navigate this space, because it's just drowning in hype.
How long is that going to go on?
I mean, how is it going? Yeah, has it died down has the hype died down in the crypto market?
No.
Is Cardano
Good question.
better than Solidity?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
like, who are you gonna ask? Like,
yeah.
yeah. So I don't think it's going to die down, but I think what's needed is a lot more trusted third parties to look across the space and give their opinion.
And for just kind of, I guess that's kind of a wrap up. And for viewers, would you kind of recommend coming to CES for people who are at home? Like,
This is my 13th CES.
oh wow,
Yeah.
you're the longest
I've been doing this
term person we've ever had on the show.
I've done this a long time. My first one was in 2006 when I was still in college.
I love that.
Yeah. So, my family's. I know a lot of people in Vegas and things like that. So I make CES work for me in a way that other people can't. But if you're in the industry and you want to get an education, you should at least come once. I think it's a real informative experience, and a lot of people. If you know what you're doing, you can you can make this a really incredible business development week. Like this is the best marketing week of my whole year. Like I'll probably get enough leads here to keep me busy for the next 6 months. Yeah.
Well, then you heard it there for 6 months. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Really appreciate you taking the time. And for all of our viewers, I really recommend you checking them out on their social media. And if you're a company watching, maybe reach out if you're interested. So.
CompanionIntelligence.com or Companion Intel on most social media. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Lynn.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Hey, what's up?
But it's not something Gensio is afraid of.
If you want to survive, you got to build a
How
hive.
many know we do not understand that we do not
Ladies and gentlemen.
You're back at the Gensio Media House.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us today.